Dakota, and this is Nahyan, my wonderful assistant for the day, and we're going to be doing martial arts. This is going to be the intro, basically, to hopefully more martial arts videos in the future. So I guess a good place to start is by saying quite simply, martial arts is not the same as self-defense, although there is self-defense in martial arts and there's martial arts in self-defense. Martial arts is a little more broad, and it's not totally based on just getting yourself out safely from a situation. Martial arts includes techniques that are a little more fancy and fun than jab him in the eyes, kick him in the groin, and run. Okay. That much being said, we're going to start with basic stance, and I'm going to try to teach Nahyan, so hopefully if you have any questions, it'll be answered with Nahyan's questions. If it's not, then obviously feel free to comment. Awesome. Okay, so in Marine Corps martial arts, it's called the basic warrior stance. In the martial arts style that I predominantly learned, it's called sparring stance. So you're going to start just feet together about shoulder width apart. You're going to step forward with your left leg about as much as you would normally step forward. You're going to tilt your feet to about 45 degrees to the right. You're going to have your upper body fronted up, face forward though. And the reason for this is because you're not quite as big of a target, and it's also so that you can kind of use both arms and legs along with being slightly more defensive. So it basically wants to be a stance where you can push and a stance where you can jump. Your feet are not supposed to be right in front of and behind each other. There's about the distance of shoulder width this way, right? And then one hand is slightly more in front of the other. Basically, the idea is if someone tries to hit you in the face, you have two things in the way. So you slightly tuck your chin, and you hold out both hands like this in front of your face. Your elbows stay in. That protects your sides a little more, and you stay looking up, right? Okay, cool. Nahyan, how do you feel?
Will should my knees be like bent or just?
Yes, you always bend your knees a little. Like any sport in general, slightly bent knees and good posture is important. Okay. Sweet. So the next part of this, and it's less of a necessity, but what I do is the back leg is actually up a little bit when I'm in my sparring stance. And this is so that it can act like a spring, but that's not necessarily needed. Okay, so you have this basic sparring stance. Your sparring stance is what you attack from and what you return to. You want to be in your sparring stance whenever you're not performing any other action. So for example, if I punch, I go straight back to the sparring stance. If I punch with the other hand, straight back. If I kick, straight back to the sparring stance. It all comes from and goes back to the sparring stance. So the sparring stance is basically crucial. And the reason why the sparring stance is important is because it allows you to have the most amount of options with what you can attack with, as well as be relatively safe and defensive from anything they try to throw. So for example, now that we have the basic stance set, what about a basic attack, right? So if you have a big bully and they're throwing a hook at you, we call this a haymaker, a wide swinging hook, and it's one of the most common street attacks that you would get. So if Nahyan's the big bully and he throws that massive wide swinging hook, you have a couple different things you can do, but always start in your sparring stance, right? When you see that coming in, what I like doing is I like stepping into it and rotating both of these bones, forearm bones, into these wonderfully sensitive parts in the arm. So you basically smash here, and then you catch on the back here, you catch on the back of his neck. It's this gooseneck type thing. You drop your elbow down and you pull him into a knee. So that's one way of dealing with it. One cool thing in martial arts is you can do a lot of different things, right? So another possible way of responding to that one punch is if he throws that punch, you can punch him in the face. And since this is a wide swing thing, and you can punch here, this is going to hit him a lot sooner than this is going to make contact with you. The trick is, in case you don't stop him completely, when you punch, you shrug your chin into your shoulder a little bit so that that can only hit you in the upper part of your head, and it does hit you and it's not going to hurt as much. That's the second way of dealing with it. Third way of dealing with it. So this is basically, you keep it at a 45-degree up from here. It's just a simple block. When you do this simple block though, you want to attack with the other hand at the same time. So looking at it that way, it would be this, where you have this hand to punch and this hand to block. The 45 degrees, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just so that you have to put in the minimal amount of effort to stop his attack. Okay, so another way of doing it is this. If he throws that punch, and that's just a combination of this block with, I'm forgetting the word, but basically a sweeping over technique. And that keeps his momentum going. So if you do this, sweep it over, and this takes a lot more practice, so don't try to be weak. Then you have a bunch of things you can do from here, and you're on the outside of the block. That's just to give you an idea of how you can do multiple things to the same type of action, right? So in martial arts, you have tons of different attacks, right? And you have tons of different things to attack with, and tons of different things to be attacked. Basically, you have different targets on the human body, and you have different parts of the human body that are ideal for attacking with. But in real self-defense, literally anything goes, and anything you need to use, use.